and being able to ask her a few questions. And so I'm just getting her profile out. Catherine Namara Mulumba, of course, works with MTN. So here we go. Catherine Namara Mulumba is a leader, mentor, and advocate who works to empower young people, especially girls, to reach their full potential in school, careers, and life. With a background in engineering and digital transformation, she worked in leadership roles at MTN Uganda, where she is currently one of the country's biggest tech companies, and where she also leads sustainability and women's empowerment initiatives. Catherine is the founder of the Be a Mentor community, where she supports girls transitioning to and in university. During one of her mentorship sessions, an anonymous survey revealed that 92% of girls feared becoming victims of drink spiking, based on stories they had heard from siblings and social media. This inspired her to act by raising awareness and giving young women tools to protect themselves from drug-related risks. Catherine led the development of a global strategy at Project Girls for Girls, contributing to its mission of mentoring 1 million girls worldwide. Wow. And now continues to serve as a mentor. At the Cassie Foundation Africa, she served as the vice president of the board in 2022, helping guide the organization's efforts to end child marriage, promote education, and empower girls. She was selected for the U.S. Department of the States. Sorry, let me just say it again. She was selected for U.S. Department of State's International Visitor Leadership Program, IVLP, for her work supporting girls in STEM, that is science, technology, engineering, and math, and has spoken to global audiences at places like Disney Studios, University of South Florida, and Pinellas County Schools, Florida. She's also a 2024 Vital Voices Fellow, recognized for her leadership and impact. In all she does, Catherine champions mentorship that brings depth, balance, and long-term vision. One that asks, how does this affect the whole? Who gets left behind? What legacy are we creating? Allow me at this juncture to invite our very own Catherine Mulumba. She's saying, you're welcome, Catherine. Nice to have you. And so today would like to be very structured, and so you allow me to go on straight to my first question. You realize that Catherine is an engineer by profession, and she works with MTN Uganda, one of the biggest tech companies in this country, we must say. And she's a leader as well. I know her story is just very interesting. She leads over 600 women. She empowers them in MTN Uganda, and much more she's going to talk about us. My only question for you right now would be, what inspired you to that journey? Because you're an engineer, now we get to hear you talking about mentorship and, girl child, where did this story begin? What inspired this story? Thank you so much. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Charity. Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm really honored. I'm humbled and excited as always. When it comes to empowerment, it's really something that triggers my excitement. And so thank you so much. And it's more so on a weekend that celebrates women. So thank you so much. This is a privilege, and I will not take it for granted. And so to answer your question, Charity, I dreamt over a long period of time. I think from P5, from age 10, I wanted to be an engineer, an electrical engineer specifically, because every time we were going to the village, the electricity would stop in Barra. After that, there was a long stretch of darkness. And I kept on asking my dad, how do these children compete with the rest of us in Kampala? because they don't have electricity. It gets dark by 6 p.m. How do they compete with the rest of us? And so that was my driving force into engineering. I said, I'm going to be the one. If all of you adults have failed, I'm going to be the one to take electricity so that that little girl, that little boy can enjoy the benefits of a modern life. And so I did engineering and excited, and my dream was to work in the biggest company in the country. And so I was really lucky and blessed. I should say I'm really blessed that right after university, I got into MTN, and I had all these dreams of, moving through the ranks and eventually leading the tech group, etc., working at group. And the last 10 years later, I was still at the entry level position. And so I learned the hard way that brilliance and talent, well-meaningness, you bring your A game to the job, does not move you forward. Mentorship, visibility, and access do, because you ask yourself, why was I stuck for 10 years, a decade? And so I'm so happy, and I always tell my team that I used to work with in network, that I'm so happy that afternoon when I went to the printer and I saw people's submissions, NSSF, what HR was submitting, NSF, these were people I was working with, and I thought, okay, we're at the same level because I joined with them, and their NSSF was ×2 my NSSF. What does that mean? It means that their take home had always been higher for a long, long time without me knowing. I was coming to work, doing my best, making sure the network is up. Oh my goodness, we built the network, because remember the time when we left university, it was just 2G, and then we grew it to 4G. And so you can only imagine the frustration that day when I saw that slip, and it was accidentally left at the printer. But I'm thankful, because I'm sure it wasn't by mistake. It was a divine intervention. And so I asked myself, why? In fact, I went to one of the boys and said, but sir, I thought we're at the same level. We entered here we're in the same class, actually. We're classmates. And we got in, and he said, but every year I go and negotiate my salary with the boss. And I'm like, what? All along, I thought that you are rewarded based on your work. But it's not true. You are rewarded based on what you negotiate for. And imagine it took me a decade. And so I started to search. I started to look around for help. My head had always been, in the computer and MTN. My life rotated around MTN and my family and etc. But now I knew I needed intervention because I was so frustrated. And luckily enough, I saw in a school group, there was a call for anyone who wanted to be mentored or wanted to mentor others by Project Girls for Girls. And so I went for the session, and what triggered my action was when they asked everyone to introduce themselves, and these are powerful women. They're change makers, and yet they're giving back. And they asked for my story, and I told them my story, and one of them said, but who knows you? That question has been the foundation. It was my springboard, I should say, because it digs deep into what the issues are. Who knows you? And so you can work for the best organization, with the best policies, with women who want you to rise, with HR that wants you to rise. But unless fundamentally you know and accept that there is work to be done by you, you will not move. Opportunities will come and you will not move. So what was my issue really? There were invisible barriers that I had no idea about. I did know that I had to negotiate. The salary I got in kept on increasing by 50K, 100, da, da, da. And I was happy with that. I was working for the best company. I was happy, there was a lot going on with the company, just being associated with a big brand, but you can easily be swallowed up because it's so big. There is no one looking out for you. You have to take it upon yourself to ensure that you are seen. And so some of the invisible barriers that I noticed after my mentorship were, first of all, imposter syndrome. No one ever stopped me from applying for the roles as they came. Why didn't I apply for those roles as they came? Because I was so good at what I was doing. I felt like this is a space I shine in. If I go elsewhere, I'll have to go back down into learning. And so years passed by. And I had no idea that no one looks out for you for working hard. No, they look out for you for what results you've communicated about. So, and then there was another barrier that I observed after the mentorship, that I did not have sponsors. Yes, I was doing a good job, but who would be in a room to say, Catherine Namara is doing the best job ever and she deserves this seat at the table? I didn't have those sponsors. And sponsors don't look out for you. You've got to look out for them so that they can understand who you are, get to know you, get comfortable with you, and then they can raise their hand for you. I did not have anyone to advocate for me. I was just, somebody doing my work, showing up every day. And so I realized that talent alone does not move the needle in a career. You've got to seek out mentorship. And I realized that if only someone had come to me earlier, or if I had been intentional enough to seek out help, I wouldn't have been stuck for all that while. And so that became my turning point. Once I got through the mentorship, courageous leadership, how do you communicate your why? How do you negotiate? I felt empowered enough and excited that, I could pay it forward. And so I decided to do something about it. I realized that at the point at which we join university, it's really important for somebody to tell you A, B, C, D. Nice girls never get the corner office. I hope everyone knows that. So, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be rude, you're going to be what, but it means that you've got to sharpen yourself well enough that you can cut through barriers at workplaces. It's needed at that point of entry from university into a workplace. And that is why I go back. And then the other thing is I was invisible, even in as much as doing a good job. What are the things that I could get involved in? The moment they asked for who could lead the women movement at MTN, I raised my hand. And now I'm really, really happy. It gives me more courage in the things that I have to pursue, and seeing that change is really, really inspirational. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Catherine. That is so powerful. I would, just listening to you, I would go on and on and on and on. Very, very inspirational indeed. So we would like to hear from you, Catherine. You've been in, tech is really what some people would say a man's world, if I should say that, engineering, math, this. What do you think inhibits women from rising and utilizing their full potential? I feel that there are many women who have the potential, but you don't see them rising up to those positions at work. What do you think inhibits them, and what do you think we can do about it? Be able to have them rise up in those positions and be able to take the, to impact, their surroundings and those around them. Over to you, Catherine.
Thank you so much. Yes, rightly said that engineering for so many years really was 100% women. And then slowly by slowly, we kept on, penetrating and rising into those positions. But as opposed to the men, we are built in such a way that at some point, family, we have our careers in seasons as women. When a man gets married, he actually has an advantage. He has a wife who's going to wash for him, cook for him, make sure the kids are okay, etc. Now, on our side, we don't have that balance. Even when people say work-life balance, it's never 100%. We've got to juggle so many things, and it comes in different phases. First, you get into our workplace and you're very excited. Now, I would really, really like the audience to understand that at the point of entry, you have to start looking out for your next step so that you gather information, you gather the skills in this period when you're still fresh and excited. Look around you. Do not keep the head in the laptop, in the, in your little space, in your little division. Look out, that's the time to really fly and do a lot of work, because then the season shifts into marriage, and that's a different dynamic. It shifts into, you want to do your masters and yet you have a family at home. It shifts into children, you have to care for them, make sure everything, you try to do so much. And so that becomes an issue. There is nothing like work-life balance when it comes to women. Instead, there is something called work-life experience, like where you have, you understand that between these hours and this time, it's work. Then after that, I'm going home. So trying to juggle that puts us at a disadvantage compared to men. And that is where we need people, experienced women, to come back and tell us, for me, with my 3 children, this is what I was able to do, to share their experiences so that we don't have to learn firsthand from our own experiences. It becomes a softer landing spot. Secondly, we tend to become invisible, because I'll just give an example of myself. I'm really, really brilliant at what I do. When I chase a project, when I have to make it and deliver it 100%, I don't want to have any questions about my delivery. But what happens is that for the decade, I never used to communicate my work. Instead, my colleagues used to ride on my work and get accolades. And for me, I was like, okay, as long as I'm delivering, and no, you've got to talk about your work. Find avenues of talking about your work. Had I done that, perhaps visibility of what I was doing would have been fast spread. And so don't act, it's not being nice that you don't talk about your work. No, it's a very big disadvantage. Silence limits your career. Silence limits your career. You've got to talk about you've got to show up boldly. And it's not pride, because culture tends to, put us in a certain bubble that we're not supposed to, speak about what we do. We're not supposed to speak loudly as girls, which is okay. But when it comes to work, you've done a project, talk about it, send an email about it. And so in my experience, there was a lot of self-doubt, which I called imposter syndrome. And that is very common with girls who are very, excellent at what they do, especially in school. So what we are awarded for in school is different from what workplaces award. So you come from school getting the A's, and then at our workplace you perform, and suddenly someone who doesn't perform gets the promotion. Why? Because they're selling themselves. They know how to communicate their work. They know how to communicate what they're doing. Then the other issue that I've realized is that we create so much, we spend so much time planning our next steps. We don't take risks. And yet risks are really part of the workplace. Learn something. Like I said, life is in seasons. In the season, when you're having the kids, can you understand how your workplace dynamics are? Stay in the position you're in because you don't want to take on so much, but use that as the gathering years, the years in which you gather information. You have to keep learning, enhancing, look around you, what's happening. AI is coming. Have you advanced? Take on those hard skills, because then what will differentiate you are the unique skills that you have, that you deliver at the workplace. And so those are the barriers: imposter syndrome, lack of visibility, and the fear of taking that next step, whether it's doing a course, whether it's raising your hand to speak up. It all acts to our disadvantage when it comes to career. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Catherine. Well said. And you're very right. MTN has so many people. I imagine if you don't talk out and you don't sell yourself, no one will really know you, So thank you for those pointers. I've had such a lovely time with you. Stay with us. We will still have a Q&A session, and I believe you will answer to some of those questions that people have. So thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you so much, Charity.
You're welcome. So our next speaker is a lady, an amazing lady. She's called Hanifa Namugwana Mpata. If you guys have been to MOBS, you've heard that name before, yeah? She's a lecturer and an emerging thought leader in personal development, leadership, and mindset transformation. With a strong academic background in accounting, finance, and taxation, she's passionate about shaping perspectives, empowering women, and fostering intentional growth in individuals and communities. Her education background, she has a Master's of Science in Accounting and Finance. She has a Bachelor's of Business Administration, Makerere University. Her areas of interest are leadership and self-leadership, women empowerment and development, personal growth and mindset transformation, accounting, finance, gestión, environmental, social, and governance. She's a lecturer, accounting, and taxation. MOBS. In her free time, she loves to swim, read, watch movies, and she loves learning and personal development. At this juncture, allow me to invite Ms. Hanifa Mpata. You can go ahead and unmute, my dear. It's nice to have you here today.
Nice
I have
to
many
have
questions
you.
for you,
So
but I'll
much
go
for
with
having
one.
me, Charity.
Nice. I have many questions, but I think I'll begin with one. So many of us, when we leave campus, you're just running out of campus and you're thinking we are done. What inspired you to, to allow to be retained as a lecturer? And how have you used your position to mentor, the women, the students? How have you used that which you have? Because things like accounting, finance, women, okay, I don't know about, many people don't love numbers. So what inspired you that journey, and what have you used your position for in terms of empowering women, fellow women, and the ones that are under you when you teach and when you, encounter them? So I will leave it to you. I will get off and then allow you to give us what that is. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Charity. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen on the call. I'm very humbled to be here. It's such an honor to be a part of the Transformational Professional Club meet this evening, and especially in honor of women and Women's Day. Surely, this is something that I don't take for granted. So thank you so much. Just like you had mentioned, I'm Hanifa Mpata Namugwana, and I am a lecturer in the Department of Auditing and Taxation at Makerere University Business School. And that's just a sneak peek of amongst the things that I do. But like you mentioned, I'm very passionate about young women and men. I am passionate about numbers, and I am passionate about mentorship, mindset transformation, and anything that really gets us out of our comfort zone. I'd like to think that that's the room that I want to be in. So this conversation is timely, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Maybe to give a bit of background, I am someone who has always been interested in leadership, always been interested in solving problems, always been interested in helping, assisting. I'm always trying to find meaning in basic situations. So all the way from, oh, sorry, can you hear me? I see someone saying I'm too low.
No, we can hear you, my dear. Maybe you can just increase, but I seem to be hearing you. Could it be, Diana, could it be is it with everyone, or it's just Diana alone? Would like to get feedback from the rest, because I seem to be hearing her loud and clear. Or you could maybe change your, just want to get feedback. Probably I can just hear from any of you. Would it only be Diana? Some thumbs up?
I can hear her.
Oh, we can hear you. Beautiful. Thank you
Okay.
so much. Over to you. Sorry about that. Continue. Go on.
Oh, I'm really humbled. I see my big sister is on the call, Zahara.
Yes,
Mpata.
I
Glad
saw
to have
it
you.
already.
Yes. That's amazing. I feel empowered already. Okay, so like I was saying, I am someone who has always been passionate about leadership and passionate about problem solving. So much so that I think I can count. Okay, I'm not certain if I can count the number of times my father has been very specific and told me, Hanifa, you're going to school, I need you to focus on this book. I need you to, I want to see results. Because every time he would either, all the way from primary, every time we'd meet, I'd be saying, Daddy, there was this problem and I think we can solve it like this. In secondary, I'd always be saying, Daddy, I think there's this position and I'd like to serve. And ironically, he would always have to remind me and say, don't forget, that you went to study. So, but with that background, as a result of that passion, that inherent passion, and that's something that I'd like to talk about, self-awareness. Way before I understood what self-awareness was, there was something in me. It was like a fire brewing that just always wanted to be in a space that is either being mentored or mentoring. So all the way to the university, when I got into the university, I remember in my first year at Makerere University Business School, I was very, of course, I was minding about my books. I remember I started off really well with my first class, but I always felt that itch, something like, oh, isn't there something you can solve? From the first class, I remember putting myself up to be a course leader and then going ahead to stand for guild representative counselor. And eventually with time, by the time I got to third year, I was very interested in an association called the Accounting Students Association of Makerere University. And where this interest came up is because now this association, maybe to give a bit of background, when I was in secondary, I always knew I wanted to be an accountant. But I found that mathematics, that primary pure mathematics, a bit complicated. So I remember asking the career master, can I still be an accountant if I don't do pure mathematics? And he said, yes, it's something you can do. I loved it, but it was something that kept on, firing back at me. So I decided to first put it aside. But when I got to the university, I was able to go ahead and pursue accounting. Now, amidst that journey, I realized that there was an association that was already in existence, Accounting Students Association, whose main role was to conduct clinics that were meant to assist students, ensure that we can excel in accounting. So what happens is, I'm sure maybe a number of us here on this call with accounting, sometimes you would always need that extra push, that extra hand. Because sometimes not everyone understands everything from the grassroots in class. So I got a part of, like I told you, I already had a passion. Now there were two passions that were moving. I had a passion for leadership. I had a passion for moving things, being part of moving objects, seeing people getting mentored, seeing us getting better, solving problems. And then I had a passion for accounting. So when I joined this association, that was in my first year when I joined the association, I realized this association was like home to me because it presented two things. It had my passion for accounting. I was able to assist people understand, these figures better. And at the same time, I was also able to serve. So when I was a part of that association, I went ahead and I was voted in as the president of the Accounting Students Association. That was in my third year. And coincidentally, at that time, the prevailing guild president, I believe, also saw something in me, and he appointed me the guild education minister. Now, I had three things on my table. I was the president of the association, as a guild education minister, and I was also a student. But I can tell you this without a doubt, I had the time of my life in that year because, and the years preceding, like Michelle mentioned, but at that time, it is that season that made me realize that I wanted to do more than the accounting because I was able to lead, serve people, and I'm all about servant leadership, guide students. As you know, at the university, there are a number of issues that keep on coming up, and being in a position where you can assist people and foster students' issues, maybe to academic board, etc., was really at the heart of who I am. So when you ask me about these numbers, or when you ask me about the teaching profession, how it came about is going into the university. I also only knew the mainstream. Okay, go ahead and do your course, and then go ahead and get a job in an organization and work, etc. But when I was at the university, given that I had quite a bit of visibility, I now started getting mentors. And I see one of my mentors is on the call, Bruno Mwevaze. I see he's on the call. I'd like to just say hello to you, Bruno, if you're on, and maybe if you can say hello. Good evening. Mwevaze Bruno.
Thank you, I'm on.
Yes. Also, Coach Samuel Evander. These are people who saw something in me and said, Hanifa, it seems like you have an interest, you have dual interests, and how best you can merge them will be up to you. But I also had some of my lecturers, my professors, who saw me and said, I think when you complete your work, your time at the university, you should consider, a career in teaching. And at first, when I heard it, I had thought to myself, and I said, well, I would want to go and, sit down and do the day-to-day accounting in an organization. But with a lot of self-awareness, and this is where I would like to put this out clearly, I had to look deep within me and question, what exactly do I want? What exactly am I interested in? Like our theme is today, how exactly do I want to give, when people talk about me, what do I want them to remember? How would I want to serve? And I realized that I wanted to serve through creation of knowledge and sharing of knowledge. And so when it comes to lecturing, I came to realize that the opportunity to teach was like a home of all my passions. I am able to teach the accounting, the taxation, the finance that I so deeply am passionate about. And at the same time, I'm in a place where I'm able to interact consistently daily with young people, shape mindset, and ensure and encourage transformation. And for me, that is where the opportunity to teach became a winner for me. To be honest, I realized that when it comes to teaching, it's a continuous growth journey. You see, when we go into lecture or to teach, I like to use the term teach. When we go into teach, we have a lot of preparation, a lot of inner work to do in ourselves before we are able to give unto others. And because of that, I was able to recognize that the more inner work I do, the better I am actually able to contribute to others. So I found teaching to be such a win-win strategy for me. And to be honest, I realized that when I was approached to talk about this topic, giving as a growth strategy, I realized that this is my daily activity. Day to day, I am giving. If it's not knowledge, I'm giving time, I am mentoring, a bit of experience. This is what I am doing day to day. And it is very fulfilling for me. And it makes me realize that if I had chosen to simply do one thing or one end, because I'm more of the giving than the doing, I probably wouldn't have been feeling as fulfilled as I am today. So now, realizing that made me understand that this is my daily reality. And I would like to tell people that indeed it is, I honestly believe that giving is the ultimate strategy for success. Of course, it's important to understand. You have to first be aware. Who are you? What can you give? And that thing you want to give, can you give it seamlessly? Can it be a part of you? For example, I can't say that I am lecturing, and of course I'm passionate about women, young people, young men and women. And then I say I want to give to farmers in Kaviramaido. It's an amazing, it would be an amazing activity to take on, but it would be a bit difficult for me because, like the previous speaker mentioned, Catherine, we have life going on. You have family, you have different responsibilities. Work is calling unto you, and this passion, these things that we do out of passion, most times you find that it's so good if you do them when you are comfortable. I don't want to say, let me not say comfortable, but when it's a bit seamless, it's not burdening to you as an individual. That way you find that the giving is a bit seamless. I know very well that our founder of the Transformational Professionals Club, Coach Samuel Evander, this is so seamless for him. Yes, his career might be in finance, but for him, when you start to make him talk about financial literacy, it comes out so naturally for him. So that knowledge is very comfortable for him to share. And so for me, I realized that in this field that I'm in, I am able to teach, I am able to share that knowledge. I'm able to show people, and you talked about women, I'm able to show women that, these figures are not the issue. These figures are not complicated. And a lot of what we are doing when it comes to accounting, they're actually rules. They're not figures, okay? And I can tell you this because when I was in high school, the pure mathematics was distorting me very seriously. I would sit in class, I would understand it, but for some reason, when I would sit down to, reproduce that dy dx, it was not, it was not working out. The results were never really aligning with what I thought. But when I realized later on and I said, no, but these figures were created by people, we are able to approach them comfortably. We need to do it from a place of power, from a place of understanding. And then, of course, there's underlying passion in them. So what exactly are you looking for? It's not the figures, but what problem do you want to solve? Is it that in the organization, there's a problem with record keeping? So you're not just recording figures, you're solving a much bigger problem. Because if those records are not kept, my dear, this organization cannot move forward. I don't know if you're getting me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Hanifa.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Charity.
Thank you so much, Hanifa. Being a lecturer, I think you almost like pouring out your entire heart like I am here. And we understand, Hanifa. Thank you so much. But another question I have for you before we go to the next speaker. I love what you've shared, that when you give from out of a heart, of passion and loving what you do, then you're then able to empower even more around you. Maybe just one last question, maybe in summary. From an academic background now, I know you interact with very many students, at the undergraduate, right? So I want to just understand what inhibits some of them to take up leadership. I know that you had about 3 roles when you were at campus, your uni, you were chair here, chair there, but what do you think inhibits students from taking on leadership? But even beyond that, when it comes to women, because the Women's Day, event, what do you think inhibits them from taking on these leadership roles? And what can they do better? Or what can you advise for them to be able to stand out and take up these positions and influence? Yeah. Over.
Okay. Thank you so much, Charity. When I think about that, and from my experience and from the people that I've interacted with, I can tell you this: it's most times unfounded fear. It's an unfounded fear. It could be because someone is not confident. It could be because someone is worried about what people think about them. But most times it's an unfounded fear. And why do I call it unfounded? It is, the previous speaker spoke about imposter syndrome. You see, this syndrome comes about when the fear it has no grounding for it, okay? You've seen successful people and you simply have conditioned your mind to believe that surely cannot be you. People have gone ahead to give these activities time, and you have conditioned your mind to think, surely that cannot be me. So I know for a fact that it is unfounded fear. It's what keeps people stuck. It's what keeps us stuck, and we are all victims of it. But I know that the one thing that can take us out of there friends is mentorship. By all means, I encourage people to seek mentorship. Let us seek mentorship at whatever level you are at. If it is fear that you're struggling with, a good mentor is going to take that fear out of you. If it is maybe some sort of conditioning, you're not confident, a good mentor is going to pull that potential out of you. If it is being a part of, sometimes we worry and we think to ourselves, who sees me? I can never be anything bigger than, what people have said I can be. A good mentor is going to assist you, craft you. A mentor and a coach, and I know those two are different, yes? But most times beginning with a mentor to help you build that confidence, that helps you understand that, no, you know what, I too can do this. And it's okay for me to make mistakes along the way. Sometimes we are so afraid of making mistakes, but the truth is that growth does not happen in our comfort zone. Unfortunately, it doesn't even happen as we are planning. The growth happens on the journey. That is where it finds us. So most times we worry and we think, no, let me organize, let me prepare myself, let me put final touches. I'm always doing final touches. And that is where procrastination creeps in. And then before you know it, it has been 4 years, 10 years, and you're not doing something. So this is what I think. Mentorship. A very good mentor. If you can identify an amazing mentor, most times this will get us out of our comfort zone. And then when you have a sense of direction, you access a coach like Coach Samuel Evander, Coach Bruno Mwevase. All these are people who can come in and help you craft, because coaches will teach you how to get to your goal after you have identified the direction. And in my opinion, for me, Catherine, I believe that would be the best part. Mostly fear, it's unfounded, but with mentorship and good coaching, I want to assure you we can beat anything. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hanifa. That was awesome. Nicely done. Indeed, we have Coach Samuel on this call, and he's the mind behind TPC, Transformation Professionals Club, where I'm a member, and so many other people are on this platform, including Hanifa. And it's such a good opportunity to be able to, interact with him, be asked those tough questions. Where are you headed? When are you starting this? And, as you're sharing that, I remembered, and I think I'll share it towards the end. There's a YouTube channel I am meant to begin, and he has been on my case. But Coach Samuel, this month, we hope that we'll have it running. So a coach is very good. We need to have these coaches that are able to push us to the uncomfortable places. Some have actually been there before us, and so they can pave the way for us. So last but not least, our last speaker. Her name is pronounced in a very interesting way. Let me first get to the spelling. P-S-E-N-J-E-N. I asked her, how do you spell this name? And she told me it is Senjen. So at this juncture, our next speaker is Evelyn Senjen. She's a seasoned administrative professional with over 15 years of experience providing executive and administrative support within public and professional institutions. She is a communication strategist for the Association of Secretaries and Administrative Professionals in Uganda. It's called ASAP. And treasurer of Focus Development Fora, which is FDF, for administrative assistants and secretaries in Uganda Members Circle, supporting professional standards, visibility, accountability, and financial empowerment. She is a founder of Evelyn VA Desk, a virtual assistant venture offering tailored administrative and digital support to entrepreneurs and professionals, combining traditional experience with modern virtual skills acquired through ALX Africa. Currently, Evelyn serves as an administrative assistant at the Uganda National Examinations Board, that's UNEB. She holds a bachelor's degree in secretarial studies, a postgraduate diploma in public administration and management, and is a certified virtual assistant, passionate about professional transformation, continuous learning, ethical practice, and digital skills adoption. Allow me to invite Evelyn Senjen. Evelyn, you're most welcome. Before we even engage into the questions, we want to first of all know, what is this thing called virtual assistant? Because people might even know what that even means. Yeah. First, get us through. First, make us understand. When you say that you are a founder of Evelyn VA Desk, a virtual assistant venture offering tailored administrative and digital support to entrepreneurs, professionals, combining traditional experience with modern virtual skills acquired through ALX Africa. Kindly first throw some light to us who don't know these things, that we're able to, either support you in that business or even know what it is. Then we'll go into the questions. Over to you, Evelyn.
Wow. That profile has elevated me already. Good evening, members. Good afternoon, depending from where you are joining from.
Good evening, Evelyn.
Yes. So you are asking me, what is a VA, a virtual assistant? A virtual assistant is a professional who offers administrative services or digital services to communities or to members or to professionals I do it online. People who are not able to maybe hire someone and pay salary per month, I come in and provide those services. And I do it remotely. That is basically what VA is about. And there are so many services that someone can offer depending on the niche that you are comfortable with. For me, I'm comfortable and passionate about administrative services. So that is the line I'm following. I hope this makes some sense.
I mean, if let's say I want, let's say to, how they call it, let's say if I want to go shopping and I don't have time, I can call and tell you, Evelyn, kindly do shopping for me and bring to my home. Would that suffice, or is it to do with secretary work or maybe contractual? Would want to get to understand this more, so that probably we can get to understand it even much better.
Thank you so much, Charity. Now, as I said, there are many niches. There are those who can do that kind of service where you call someone to shop for you and bring for you. Mine is basically administrative. It is just the same things that I do currently from my traditional 9 to 5 job, but this one I can offer services remotely to any part of the world. I do it from the comfort of my office, my home, anywhere, but administrative. What do I mean by administrative? I can say, produce for you a document by typing. I can do some data entry for you. I can analyze some data for you, but I do it remotely and deliver results. But of course, we have to sign some agreement before. Otherwise, I might be cheated, you know.
That's true. I like that. So my next question, Evelyn, I was expecting our video on, but it's well. I don't know why
It's
I'm not
not
seeing
on.
you.
I
No, I
don't
think
know
you just
why.
have just click on the video, on the how do you call it, on the video button. It's just giving us the books in the background.
I've done that.
It's all right. So if it's not able, we're not able to, we're still going to continue. Are you able to see
Alright.
that icon, which is like for a video
Yes,
camera?
I am. Yes.
Have you clicked on it?
I've clicked on it.
It's
I've
giving us
clicked on
this.
it.
Okay, maybe coach will help us some other time to help us with that one. So for now, we are honored to have you. I realize that one of the things that disturbs many people, be it business women, be it businessmen, be it the corporate world, is work-life balance. I see you juggle so many balls. You're a mother, you're a wife, administrative professional. I know many of you, you have this rule of thumb that until the boss leaves, you can't leave the office, you know. Then you have a virtual assistant, you know, profession that you do online, and then you also go ahead and then have a company of your own, and you're a leader. So how do you get to juggle all these things? Because I feel that many of us, when we start having all these many balls, we sometimes we drop one or we pick up another. So would like to hear from you from experience. How have you managed the work-life balance as a woman and being able to juggle all those balls around you?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that question, Charity. Maybe let's first understand what is work-life balance. Work-life balance is the ability to manage your responsibilities, work responsibilities, and personal life, so that you try and keep the two. It is not very easy to achieve the balance, but at least we can try and you keep them in check. Basically, that is what work-life balance. So you are asking the question, how am I achieving work-life balance despite managing all these jacks of trade you've mentioned about? One thing that I really consider so much is planning. I have to plan my day ahead of it. How do I do that? Because of the nature of work that admins do, I'll be using admin or secretary or professional secretary. So how do I achieve this balance? Because of the nature of work that secretaries have on their tables, with so many interruptions every now and then, either coming from frustrated clients, maybe staff having a need to solve, your boss calling you, you need to, I do plan my day. What I do is I list all tasks that I'm going to handle on that day. And I list them based on priority. First priority comes first, so that while I'm working, I keep review of what I've listed so that nothing passes me, so that I cannot skip any task. And as the day goes, I keep on reviewing. And you know, as secretaries, we don't have a defined schedule. Anytime anything comes up, and that will interrupt your list of tasks. So you have to plan ahead. List your tasks, keep on checking one by one as you handle them. That is one of the ways how I handle my day. I keep it planned so that at the end of the day, I'm not stressed or I'm not overwhelmed by work. I will monitor how I'm working depending on what I've listed down. Then secondly, I also identify what is important and what is urgent. Much as I have tasks listed, not all of them are important and not all of them could be urgent. The list just helps me to keep in check what I'm supposed to do on that day. But there are those tasks which are important and urgent. Let me give an example. These tasks are those tasks that affect someone else. Let me give an example. If there is assuming that it is this is Friday in the morning hours, assuming that there is a meeting to take place today in the afternoon, I must prepare those documents immediately. It could not be in the lists, but I have to prepare the documents immediately because that meeting is going to take place. By doing this, I'll be reducing stress on myself. Nothing will go, I will not miss anything. And because the meeting is something which has to take place on that day at a particular time, I have to make it a priority. And so by doing that, I will not overwhelm myself or stress myself. I will know this thing, I have to handle it. Another thing is communication. Communication is very important. I have to communicate when necessary. For example, if I receive so many tasks, secretaries will support more than 2 supervisors. There are very few who are just responsible for one person, one executive, but majority of them, I can say you can support 2 or many. So you'll find that all these people are bringing to you work at the same time. And all of them are telling you this work is urgent. And it is you one person who is going to handle them. So how do you go about this? One of the things is you communicate. Communicate professionally and tell them, clarify the priorities with them. You ask, now I have received this from this officer, this one and this one. Which one should I handle first? You just come into mutual agreement. Other than you receiving, for example, I used to be this one person who was a people pleaser. When someone brings work, I keep on piling. And at the end of the day, I would find it very hard and stressing. This would even affect me. So I realized that unless I communicate, I will break with the work. So you have to communicate for clarification, which work must be worked first and which one will come later. Then another thing is setting boundaries. Secretaries, we don't have our own lives. Sometimes you could be somewhere, even in your party, but you receive a call telling you, now we have received a call from Parliament. We are supposed to appear before, say, COSASE committee. We need these things urgently. And you are somewhere having your life. You know how you can feel about that. So if you set boundaries, and of course this one, you'll have to discuss it. Much as your letter says, work is from 8 to 5, but sometimes you find it going overboard. So you have to make it clear to your supervisor. Of course, you have to discuss it and bring to his attention that even him is a person. He cannot interfere with your personal life. When you just bring it to his attention by communicating and clarifying that maybe, sir, between this time, for any official matters, please don't call me. We can handle this. And that's where priority comes. We can handle this between the working hours. But when I am at home, official communication stops. I know it's a very hard conversation, but for you to achieve your work-life balance, sometimes you have to speak it out. Otherwise, you will end up breaking. And with mental issues, you end up becoming a mental case in your office. One other thing is I've talked about communication, setting boundaries, and planning your day so that you don't miss any tasks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was powerfully said. And as you said that, I began to think about something very interesting. You see, when you break down and you cannot do the work anymore, they'll replace you. Yeah. So you need to know that at the end of it all, your health matters, your work matters. You have to really have a balance at things. I've had many people who will do so much, go out of their way, and guess what? The time reaches and the only how they call that, the only reward you're getting or thank you you're getting is probably a sick bed because you did not take good care of yourself. So I know it's not easy, especially for those who are married now like yourself, and those who may be here and are married, and you have children, and you have a family, and you have work, and you have businesses. But above all, let some things be priority. Let your health be priority. Let your family be priority. After all is said and done, you will go back to your family. So let's think about that. So thank you for answering it very well. The next question I have for you before we go into question and answers is, you are a member of ASAP, yeah? That okay, before that, you have seen how people have branded secretaries in the past. You go to an office and there are these mean secretaries. I remember when we were having a chat earlier with the ladies, and they're just talking about how I don't want to say where we found them, but there's some institutions where you'd find those mean secretaries who'd be like, put there your paper, you move, like they don't even give you time to explain to them. And one of us actually said that, I think it was Catherine who was saying that they are a gateway to your future, because if they misplace your documents, guess what? You will not graduate, So, in some of the situations where they are, they hold a very serious position in society. And so I want us to talk about, how is this institution that you are part of, ASAP, that brings all together administrative assistants, how is it helping to rebrand how we look at secretaries? And how do you encourage any of us maybe who are here? Because I know in one way or another, we are administrators in our own way, in our families, in our workplaces. Are there even courses maybe to come and say, but maybe I may not be one physically, like maybe a secretary, but maybe I want maybe to get organized. Do you offer courses to people who are not secretaries? Do you offer to everyone who can, who's interested? We want to hear from you. How is ASAP rebranding, this institution of secretaries? But also beyond that, how can women and other people, even men who are here on the call, and we commend all the men on the call, Bugalo, we really clap for you right now. Thank you for being a part of us. Thank you for celebrating the women here. We really want to commend you so much for being a part of this event. And so I want to continue and just get to hear from you. How are you rebranding? How are you transforming women and men in this institution to be better? And then when we finish this question, we'll go into Q&A. So allow me to invite you to speak into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Charity. Before I go into that, I just want to demystify some myths about the secretarial profession. For a long time, people think that as long as you can manipulate that computer, as long as you can type some figures or some numbers, you are good to go to be called an admin. They forget that admin also goes under a training, just like other professions. And also, some people say that this profession is for the failures. Or if not for the failures, someone goes there as the last resort, like he or she has failed to get any other thing, so it's a shortcut. I just want to clarify that this is a professional, it's a profession just like any other profession. We undergo training just like other professions. So really, what we just said, what we discussed before this call of those women who are rude, could be, I'm just saying could be. They could have taken the profession as a shortcut by not undergoing training. Okay, now to go back to your question. How are we rebranding? I also want to say that even men are in this profession. Yes, it's for both genders. So how are we rebranding? Oh, I serve in a leadership position in ASAP. I will use ASAP as short. I serve in a leadership position in ASAP. And We organize workshops every year. We do carry workshops and trainings every year, and we do this to promote learning and professional growth for our members. Because during such workshops, we invite experienced speakers, and even some of the speakers are experts. They have been through the system. They know what goes on, the challenges we face, how we can upskill, how we can make it better. So during those workshops, our members, I know they gain some skills and insights. So we do carry annual workshops and trainings for our members. Then also we encourage our members to go for further studies. Like we encourage them to take up courses which they can pay for themselves. You know, personal development begins with you. It's your initiative. You cannot sit there and wait for your institution to pay for you. Some institutions are not able to pay for you, or they cannot. And because I want to say this, the secretarial profession sometimes are marginalized in these institutions. You can see other professions being sponsored for training, but unless you, the secretary, you go and justify why you want to go for that training, they will never sponsor you. So we encourage our members. There are these short courses which they are able to pay for themselves. For example, in LinkedIn, there are so many courses whereby members can pay for themselves, maybe to learn a new skill, to learn new digital skills. Yeah, we encourage them to do that. And also, the experience you said about finding these secretaries who are rude, they don't want to talk to you well. One thing we tell our people is to feel proud and feel proud of what they are doing and walk with their heads high. You know, with this profession, unless you are passionate about it, honestly, it's not for anyone. Imagine you are in the office, you are the first one to come and the last one to leave. And mark you, if a secretary just disappears for 30 minutes, everyone will know that you are not there. But let's say an accountant or someone in procurement, even for 1 hour, no one will know that this person is missing, maybe until after 1 or 2 days. But for secretaries, just 30 minutes is enough to announce your absence. So we are very important in these institutions, only that we are not accorded that value. But we encourage our members to feel proud, to feel proud of themselves and work professionally, because we have code of ethics. Let them work professionally so that our image of the profession can at least also go up there. Another thing is what we are working on. Let me start from where I was working on. You know that the title itself, secretary, it is just a cake itself, like the typewriter. So we are trying as much as possible to transition from the title secretary, maybe to something like administrative assistants, executive assistants, chief of staff, office manager, because the value that we bring to the organization and the work we do does not match the name secretary. Maybe that is why even some people behave the way they do. They don't want that name. I can give an example like human resource officers. I know previously they used to call them personnel officers or personnel managers, but these guys transitioned to human resource managers or human resource officers. So we are also trying to rebrand our title to match the value that we bring to the organizations. The other old title, the secretary, does not match now the value that we bring to the organizations. Also, what is another thing? We are trying to, you cannot talk of rebranding without talking about compensation. We are trying to advocate for better compensation for secretaries. I can assure you that this is the only profession that is poorly paid, despite the brains they have, the contribution they make to the organizations. We are like, we are no longer those clericals that you used to do, where you sit and wait what to be told. We have moved from that. We have moved from that, and we are like partners with our executives. We are strategic partners because we can see what is wrong and tell him this is wrong. We can forward tell what is coming ahead, because we have to look ahead and guide the executive supervisor. So we are really trying. I know it's not easy, but we have started the conversation. We want our members to be compensated at least to match the value they bring on board. Thank you, Charity. That's what I have to share this evening.
Thank you so much, Evelyn.
We've lost your voice. Can't hear you.
You can now hear me. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I can.
That was very powerful. Thank you so much, Evelyn. Maybe just one last question. How can one become a member of this ASAP? Do they have to be secretaries, or can they just be anyone who wants to be organized?
You must be a professional secretary. We have a membership of 20,000 shillings, and then subscription fee of 70,000. Then you have to be a secretary by profession. You have to submit your credentials. At least that is the only way we can tell that this person is a professional secretary. But outside there in the field, recruiters, I think, to me, they make mistakes because sometimes we have so many trained secretaries, degree holders, diploma holders, but they will go ahead and put an advert there and put something else. I don't know what procedure they use. Our recruiters who are who are present here, I don't know what procedure you use, but we have so many secretaries out there. So you must be a secretary by profession. I think that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. That answers my question. Whoever is interested in getting in touch with Evelyn Senjen, I have shared her names. She's on LinkedIn. Hanifa Mpata is also on LinkedIn, and so is Catherine Namara Mulumba is also on LinkedIn. So it would be nice to be able to get in touch. Thank you so much, each of us, for being able to give us your insight. Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you, Evelyn, and thank you, Hanifa. Now I'd like to go to the chat to see what we are having there. I know that many have been posting. If you have any question, please feel free to put up your hand and be able to tell us that question. But also, let's see what we have in the chat. I like what Catherine said. Who knows you? Wow. Catherine Namara Mulumba is on LinkedIn. Let's see what other questions we are having. Okay. trying to scroll through. Charity Nyoshuti says, doing more than expected is my key takeaway. Thank you, Charity. Maureen Katugume says, growth happens when you start. Absolutely. Edith Kutesa Gita says, how do we support more women and younger girls access mentorship when most of it is for paying for? Catherine is going to answer that, but I'm already seeing it starts with us. Once you learn something new, you go back to school, church group, office, and share. But I know she's also very passionate about the girl child, so I will ask her later to share more light on that. Pamela Tufu says, I see. I now understand why I learned so much yet practice very little. Thank you. It's a good insight there. We can do something about it. Hanifa Mpata says we can normalize informal mentorship and encourage peer mentorship circles. Lovely. Namutebi Diana says, I once worked as a virtual assistant. I can throw some more light. I'll give you some, maybe 2 minutes along the way so that you're able to tell us that. Maureen Katugume says, yeah, important and urgent tasks. I consider them to keep track and focused. And she also says communication is key. Totally agree, especially when being supervised by 2 managers. Thank you so much for that insight. I put there what ASAP is in full. Great submission, Evelyn. Thank you so much. We'll continue. When you look at the LinkedIn, it's there, right there. Setting boundaries, planning your day, communication. Thank you for those insights that you have had this day. Allow me to continue. I want to ask Catherine to speak more into the mentorship. How then do you mentor young girls and ladies? And then we will come back and we'll continue. Over to you.
Right. Thank you so much, Charity, and thank you for that question. Yes, so I'll just give an example of an interesting scenario that happened. At the curve of Naguru, as you're going up Naguru Hill, there is a curve and the road is quite narrow. And so there was a concrete brick. And there was a mile-long jam caused by the brick because everyone was waiting for someone else to remove the brick until one gentleman put double indicators on his car and then pushed the brick out of the way, and the 2 lanes started moving very well. And that's the analogy about mentorship. If you have been empowered, I just urge you, whatever information you've learned, even as small, I always encourage my teens in S6 VAC. I tell them, each one, teach one. When I teach them how to fill in the job form, I tell them, tell me who else you have taught. Each one, teach one. Because then we shall create a movement, and I like how Hanifa stated it, that we normalize informal mentorship. That is where the best conversations happen. Not in formal settings where you paid 150,000, you're supposed to show up on a Saturday rainy morning, and oh my God. So if we normalize that informal mentorship, we are going to move so far as women, as a community, as a society. Because every time you learn something, that is a step that's going to take someone less time than you took. That's a step. So in whichever setting you are, I remember the very first time my heart was burdened. I kept on asking, why on this village of ours in Rukungiri and their graduation parties? What happened? And then I was told, people are going into institution. I said, that's fine. They're going into, and then I said, oh, there must be a problem. So I got leave and took a bus back to Rukungiri. I asked for one school. I said, headmaster, I want to understand. So he told me, you see, the cutoff points at university are, they are too high. So I told him, who is in charge of career guidance? So he introduced me to the gentleman. And the gentleman had no updated information of the courses. There are so many courses in so many universities across the country now that every child can honestly get a degree, unless your passion is in technical. But if fundamentally your dream was to get a degree, you can get it. The problem was lack of information of how many courses are out there. So people knew doctor, teacher, business, but even in business school alone, MOOBS, there are so many courses. What are the cutoff points? How do we get there? And so I took it upon myself that every year, once the JAB forms are out, the pink forms, I put them on the bus and they go. And over the past 8 years, even the teachers have gotten degrees. There's a very good example of a teacher who was so frustrated. He's so good at physics and math, but his dream was to be a civil engineer. So when he told his parents about, the father said, your great-grandfather dug here. Your grandfather dug here. Oh, you think you can become a civil engineer? Oh, with how? There is no alignment between you and civil engineering. And so he went into an institution, teaching institution, and got a diploma and started teaching physics and math. You will not believe that that young man had 20 points at S6. 20 points would have got him into civil engineering at Makerere that particular year. And so I gave him the idea of having to go back. He said, if let me look around. I told him, you know what, this particular intake, this was June. I said, look, take this time to get the money and then enroll. Kyambogo takes people who have got diplomas. So he enrolled. Ladies and gentlemen, he graduated in civil engineering. He is a big engineer in National Water. He was relocated back to, his dream was always to have a farm and do engineering and etc. and also teach. So he has everything now because they took him back to Rukunjiri. That's the station where he is. And so whatever information, however little that information is, it can transform a village. And from the village, society is transformed. Another good example is Hanifa. Hanifa is using the platform that she's given as a teacher, as a lecturer, to transform the minds, not just through accounting, but the life skills. Every lecture has life skills. So we have that privilege that wherever we are planted, we can be ambassadors of inspiration, ambassadors of change. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. That was powerful, Catherine. Someone is even saying they are from Rukunjiri, like you are saying, fellow Rukunjirian. Seems you have someone here. But thank you. That was powerful. And I like what we said recently as well, that women thrive through, what did we say, the previous meeting? They thrive through community. Yeah. And for me, that question that she's asking about community, I resonate, and I think you too as well resonate. Maybe you could share a bit about Be the Mentor, because I know it's one of a company that you have that deals with young ladies, and the question is really about young ladies and senior six and university. Some people could have come on a bit later. Take just a few minutes, just talk about it so they're able to know about it, and maybe even join earlier to be mentored into that space. Over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. And so, Be a Mentor was born from a desire to mentor freely, because like the question was asked, what do you do when every mentorship is now asking for money? And I said, but there is so much experience that I have. First, I was a lecturer at Makerere University, and my classes thrived because I had, the traditional teaching, the professors that we found in engineering had their way, had their culture. It was almost impossible to be friends with them. It was impossible to even crack jokes in those classes. Some were funny, but yeah, they were, uptight. They were cast in their way. And so I decided that, first of all, how do we open up the minds of these kids because they come with biases that electrical engineering is so hard. And the particular course I was teaching was even harder. It had attraction over the years. You know, when you get in and the second years are telling you who the chances of you getting, you know, above the pass mark are almost close to none. 50% of you are going to fail. And so the biases were there. So I said, what can I do? So as I was teaching, I started talking about, you know, confidence. How do we speak up with the examples I would give? And then I gave them an assignment. Who are the greatest scientists that you know? And these kids got so excited, you know, reading about Tesla, reading about Ford, and relating that engineering of that time to the engineering of this time to bridge that gap. And so I realized that there's actually a dream gap. So there is that desire to be an engineer, but okay, how can I be inspired? This thing is so hard. And so I tried as much as possible to introduce, you know, guest speakers. We also watched Hidden Figures with the students of the agriculture college, and it just opened up their minds that you can actually go to NASA. And guess what? I have a student who went for his master's in Europe, and he's now working on satellites that are for NASA. Just, you know, just that alone, I saw someone asking about KPIs. How do you know that you have achieved this? For me, if I come to this webinar and one of you, just one of you is able to translate the message into their lives, for me, that is an achievement, just one, because I know that one is going to become the light in the darkness that surrounds him. And the other example is that girls, looking out for the quiet girls and trying to understand them, trying to find out what's their vibe, what ticks them and all. And out of that, I have a girl at MIT. She came from a village, but she was extremely inspired. I did not have to, you know, spend hours with her, but just understanding that what are the gaps, what inspiration do these people need to dream beyond the wildest dreams. And so when the US government invited me, it wasn't because I applied. This particular fellowship is the US government takes about 3 years, 5 years studying you to understand your impact. They don't just award it to anybody. The testimonies were not from anyone I know, and up to now I'm trying to figure out who. So they were just looking through LinkedIn, looking, you know, combing through my social media. And that's one thing, visibility. What are you sending? What messages are you writing on LinkedIn or on TikTok? So they combed through social media, followed up the different stories I was sharing, called up, and I don't know who, whoever it is or whoever they are, gave a testimony that just that inspiration, just that, you know, just being there at a time when they had no direction, speaking to them, even without them coming to me, but just, you know, generally speaking, that peer mentorship that Hanifa is talking about, normalizing, inspiring people so that they can get better. That got me to the White House. And the bio that they read was nothing close to what Charity read. They were reading people's testimonies, and I was moved to tears. And I had no idea. There were girls in Harvard. There was a girl at MIT. You know, there were so many amazing things. And so the impact that we seek to measure, even if it's just one person, their testimony of how their life has changed is strong enough. And that is what Be a Mentor does, bridging the dream gap so that everyone can achieve their highest potential. Thank you.
Thank you so much for answering that question and also answering the question that Mr. Bruno had brought in. So yeah, for now, that's it. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So then we also get feedback from Hanifa Mpata. Just 2 purposes for most courses in MOOPS for you to get a course. Charity Nshuti is asking, are there graduation parties in your village? The answers are deep in our hearts. We'll continue. Bruno had asked Catherine, how do you measure the impact of your giving? Like, are there specific metrics or signs that tell you it's contributing to growth? I think she has answered that. Hanifa, can you share an example where your giving, time, resources, mentorship to many young people in the university created a ripple effect that led to your growth? I'll get back to you on that one, Hanifa, in a bit. Claire Jumbo says, my take home, mentorship, negotiation, visibility, and planning. Thank you, Claire. Ruth Nabdua says each one teach one, normalize informal mentorship. Wow. Okay. Charity Shuti says, sorry, even if it is just one person. Let's see. Then Char Nabaka says, true, one person that is able to interpret the dream is a great achievement for me as well. Thank you so much. And you know, as we're sharing, I began to think about, now I'll share something small also, maybe in the next few minutes, being your host. Many of us thrive in communities, and I want to share about one of the concepts we have called Come Alive, and I'm glad some members are here in the room. Like Charity was putting up her hand. I'll get your hand very shortly. What we did, we are 8 ladies and we had a purpose. We have the same interest and we have been growing together. Yeah. And because of that oneness, we have seen ourselves grow in different spaces and we're coming alive in different spaces. You can also begin those pockets as well. You know, get people you have same interest with, maybe the same gym, maybe same, you know, same something. Yeah. And then create this bond, because many of us get so absorbed in work and we don't have those spaces we are safe to discuss about anything and receive mentorship and receive encouragement. We sometimes even ask those hard questions. So I also implore you, have those small spaces. If you could have many pockets of them, then it's going to change your life. Because imagine how many people commit suicide on a daily because maybe they never got someone to talk to them and tell them it's going to be your right. You know, recently I was talking to a young man, very young, passionate, but has a drinking problem. But why? Because he's going through so much, you know, lots of this is going on, like a lot is just happening. And so the question is, imagine if he had this bond that probably people were telling him, you can do this, you can work this journey together. Then I think for me, he would be in a better place. So I encourage us, even in our spaces, in our families where we are, let's have those small pockets and let us multiply them as many as we can. And I believe there will be impact. As women, we need it. We get so absorbed in so much. You're in children, you're in this, your spouse, your what, but you don't get even just a time to just take yourself out and just enjoy that one meal alone. I think it's good that we have that self-love. Take good care of yourself, because many people actually, you know, sometimes we give and give as women, we give and outgive, and our cup even runs out. And we've seen some women actually dying at an early age, not because of them, but because they have nothing else to give. Like they outgive themselves and they just burn out. So I encourage us that let's take time, you know, call out your friend, take a walk with them, go to the beach, do those things that women would normally do. With my group of ladies, we meet almost every month. You know, we go out and do certain things. We did a vision board at the beginning of that. We had a vision board. We said, this is where we are going. Everyone had their space on the vision board. And so it's good for us to think in those lines, because the older we get, I think at times people begin to fall off. But sometimes there are those friends that you know you've grown up with, you've moved with. Hold on to them, because as you grow older, it gets a bit lonely. Yeah, the older you get, when you don't have as many people as you ought to have. So my take on this topic as your host is that let's create these friendships, let's create these circles. You know, I've seen people who are like we're having a discussion recently with the ladies that, you know, at MTN, there are people who have their pockets, you know, of gym. They go for the same gym, so they have their pockets, telling each other, you know, are you there yet? Get me a slot, get me a space, you know. Oh, they love traveling. You know, what same interest do you have? Because the moment you have that kind of thing, then you're going to thrive in all places. You're going to thrive in your work, thrive in your relationship, but also, you know, have that one time to rest. Ladies, let's get time sometimes to rest, because sometimes we do too much and you don't even have that time to rest. Work-life balance. Why you need support, you know, get the support you need. If you feel this is too much for you, tell someone, you know, today I'm not going to do. Sometimes say no. I feel that at times we don't say no. We just keep on saying yes, 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 yes. No. Once in a while, it is good to just say no for the sake of your health, for the sake of, you know, for you to thrive into that space which you're in. I have, I think, another question. I had a question for Hanifa, which she's going to answer. And then afterwards, I will invite Charity Nyoshuti. But even before Nyoshuti comes in, please allow me, on behalf of Coach Samuel Iwanda, our coach and the mind behind Transformational Professionals Club, to thank our ladies. I know Hanifa still has a question to answer to, but I just want to thank you, Catherine. Thank you for speaking from your heart. Thank you, Hanifa, for speaking from your heart. Thank you, Evelyn. You know, we've had such a beautiful time together with us, just hearing from you, you know, giving as a strategy of growth. I believe that the more we give, we're going to see the world change. World changes through givers. If these people who are doing experiments, if people who are scientists did not give of their knowledge, we would not have light right now. We would not have many of the things that you see here today. So the more we give, we're going to create an impact. And naturally, women, we are givers. So don't hold back. Sometimes because of offense, many people have held back to give and give of themselves. But I believe that we are naturally nurturers. We are naturally givers. Don't hold back that love. Don't hold back that gift. Don't hold back that which you have, because the more you mentor, you don't know what that person is going to help you tomorrow. Hearing the story that Catherine has been saying, for me, are very, very fulfilling. Seeing that now her being in the State House was because of the women, that the young girl that she was able to mentor. Seeing someone in Rukunjiri is now one of those top, engineers in national waters. For me, I feel that this should inspire all of us that giving is indeed a strategy. So I'm going to welcome Hanifa to answer that question. And after, I will come in and I also see Catherine has said, when women mentor, sponsor, and support each other, success multiplies across generation. Hashtag empower to empower, give to gain. So allow me to invite Hanifa to share something to answer the question. And then afterwards, I'm going to invite Charity Nyoshuti to also give her remarks and also tell us how to join the TPC. Over to you, Hanifa.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Charity. Bruno has asked, Mr. Mweweze has asked if I could share an example where giving my time, resources, and mentorship, led to a ripple effect that fostered my growth. And Bruno, to respond to this, I would say, so I've been working at the university for the past 6 years, and ever since I left the studentship and joined the university as staff, I have continuously worked hand in hand with students in their associations, especially the Accounting Students Association, that is SAM. So what happens with these associations is that these students usually have different activities where they are expected to seek sponsorship or knock on very big doors and maybe seek sponsorship and also seek presence of different speakers on their different events. It could be a summit, it could be a dinner, it could be someone they want to mentor them, etc. So what I do in most cases is I sit down with the students and we prepare, okay? Because sometimes when you're a student, I talked about confidence. Sometimes you're not confident, you're worried. I'm going to knock onto the door of the CEO of Stanbic Bank. What am I going to tell him? I mean, I'm just a student, right? So we start by kicking down that fear, helping people understand, helping the students understand that you actually have something to say, you actually have something to offer, you're doing something great in the university, but how do you communicate this? So through that, if you notice, these students, I sit down with them, we discuss, we plan, how are you going to speak to these people? How are you going to bargain for what you want, etc. But I'm not the one who is knocking on those doors in actual sense. So what happens is eventually when these students do succeed, I get the opportunity to meet and network with a number of these different persons. And these are people with high influence, people who have the ability, I've had people say, people who can say your name in a room full of opportunities. And as a result of that, when you put yourself in a space where you're challenged, naturally the growth starts to follow you. Like I mentioned earlier, the growth doesn't find you planning. It doesn't find you organizing. It doesn't find you assessing. No, it finds you when you're on the journey, when you're halfway, when you started taking steps, when people start to see you and question and say, okay, so this is who you are, this is what you do, okay, what can you offer? That is where you actually start to grow. So for me, I've been able to network with various people. I now know a number of people in different organizations. It could take just a phone call for me to access some information. And as a result of that, I'm also able to be a part of different organizations in the work that they do. So when it comes to taxation, for example, because I do teach taxation, I do teach accounting. But when we are on holiday in the university, you might find that some of these organizations are reaching out to me and saying, okay, Hanifa, can we work together? We have a number of these clients. Can we work together? Can we do this consultancy together? And for me, that goes to show me that I am growing in the different spheres. Yes, as a servant leader, because my primary goal is not to even meet these different people. It is to mentor these students, see them actually, that excitement that my students have when they say, you know what, we went to this office and we came back and this person, was pleased with us. We got this contact. For me, that is the win. Every other thing is such a ripple effect, and that is where the growth comes in. So if I could just add, Charity, to that, I think it's important for people to question, what do you have to give, therefore? What do you want to give? When you sit down and really think about it yourself, you are who you are, and every single person has a unique thing they can give. Is it mentorship? Is it, I hear people saying, oh, me, I'm meant to give kabozi to the people who are cooking. If that's the value that you want to present, then by all means proceed. But there's always something you are able to give. It could be something you're already aware of. It could be something you need to discover. What is it? Then get down to organizing that. How am I going to give it? Who am I going to give it? When am I going to give it? All that. Once you are able to put all that into perspective, again, with your mentors or your coaches, then I want to assure you the growth, it might shock you when it starts to follow you. And the amazing thing is that this growth ends up following you, and it comes with other resources such as money, etc. But most times when you get in and you're looking at the money, for example, the financial, you get lost along the way. But can you go ahead and identify, what can I give? Who can I give it to? Where? Who am I? What is my talent? What can I give naturally? Eventually, all the fact that it's a strategy, the success you're seeking, the resources, the finances that you're seeking will definitely follow you. Yes.
Thank you so much, Hanifa. That was awesome. You nailed it. I like what you just said right now. Thank you so much for that. Ladies, it has been such an awesome time. The gentlemen on the platform, this has been awesome. Thank you for being a part of us. I am seeing something from Winnie Adot. She says, I've impacted a change in a girl who had dropped out of university in 2019 and she became a church girl, depressed, and the sister came and shared a story with me. I advised her accordingly to the best of my knowledge, and she graduated last month. Kudos. I was grateful for that achievement. Thank you. Winnie, that was awesome. I would also promise Diana to share something on virtual assistant, but because of time, I want us to finish at exactly 9. I was requesting, if it's okay with you, kindly put it in the chat box. Help us understand what a virtual assistant is. Just through your comment, I will read them at the end. At this juncture, in the next remaining few minutes, probably 5 to 6 minutes, I will invite Charity to come on and tell us how to join TPC. And at the end of it all, I'll crown it with inviting Coach Samuel Ibanda to say hi to us and also to hear his voice and also thank our guest speakers. Over to you, Charity, in a few minutes, probably 3 to 5 minutes, then we'll invite Coach. Charity, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Charity, for this opportunity, and to the ladies. I really appreciate that the topic, the lessons, and for me, so many things, but I also feel like taking a bus tomorrow and I go and find out why in my community there are not so many graduation. And I'm so happy to be part of this community. I have been part of it since inception. I'm a member, and at the same time, I'm part of the management team. Thank you for saying yes to the invitation. And like I keep saying, for me, it's so much about what I've become as a result of being part of this community. I have shared a link in the chat to be part of the TPC community information page. You can fill that form, and to be a member, for now, it's only 250,000 shillings, only Uganda shillings. And someone asked the question, how are we making the mentorship available for girls? Like everything is for paying. And for us, we have tried as much as possible to put it at that price for now. Please check out the link and be part of us, even the social LinkedIn page. Please feel free to follow and know more about what we are doing. And Charity, yes, you gave me this task to share more about TPC. However, I also had a question. I don't know whether you're giving me time to ask about it. Maybe in one way or the other, the speakers could speak to it, maybe on their platforms, if we are not getting the time now. My concern...
No, answer to your question, that's okay.
All right, thank you. We have all heard about this saying of motivational speakers. And I personally have been on this mentorship journey on both fronts, as a mentor and as a mentee. And I've interacted with this category of people who keep referring to those are motivational speakers. You're just motivational speaking to us. And this question will go directly to Kathy. Is there an encouragement or a word, just an insight for that someone who thinks mentorship doesn't work, who thinks it's just motivating, it's just saying? Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity. Over to you, Charity.
Thank you so much, Namesake, for that question. I will invite our guest speakers to take just two minutes, because I want us to keep time by 9, and I just want to invite Coach Samuel. So I will start with Hanifa first, and then Catherine, and then we will invite in Coach Samuel.
Oh, sorry, I had it unmuted. Yes, Charity, you had mentioned we should take 2 minutes for parting shots or to respond to Charity's question.
Sorry, I was trying to log on. What you're going to do, you're going to respond to Charity's question, and probably your parting shot, but I'm giving you guys 2 minutes now so that we can conclude, because I know that we have a lot to speak, but just give us, Charity, just in a minute and or two, what she has spoken about, and then also call Catherine, because it's in the same line with mentorship. So invite Evelyn to also give her parting shots as well. So in that order, Hanifa, Catherine, Evelyn, parting shots, and then we'll invite Coach.
Okay, thank you so much. So first and foremost, again, I'd like to appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much for having me onto this call. I'm very humbled to be on such an amazing panel. I'd like to appreciate Coach Samuel Ibanda for being the mind behind Transformational Professionals Club. I can see that it continues to grow, and it's so humbling when you see your coach doing wonderful things. It gives you an amazing challenge. Thank you so much, Coach Samuel. To just say something small regarding what Charity mentioned, when people say, oh, those are motivational speakers. I want to say, in this life, there are different types of people. I don't know if you've heard that quote. There are those who see what they want to do, yes? And then there are those who only see what is limiting them. Now, the people who see people, trying to give encouragement, give motivation, yes, because to a certain extent, yes, here you will be motivated if you're listening to the different speakers. I am, motivated myself. Most times people only see what is limiting them, okay? When they hear you saying, oh, this person did that, they say, but that one was lucky, yeah? Oh, this person did that, oh, no, but that one had the money. Oh, this person was able to, that the examples Catherine was giving us, the different examples, oh, but that one was just lucky to have met Catherine. God just put Catherine in this person's path. And to be honest, these people make it seem like all these things are just about good luck. But the truth of the matter is, when you do listen to people who are speaking, the so-called motivational speakers, no one is telling you that you're going to sit down in your comfort zone and things are going to sprout out and you're going to be successful. No, they all have one common message. We all have one common message. The message we hear and the message we keep on saying, that, hey, you have to take action. There has to be action in this story of yours. When Catherine tells you that, you know what, you have to get up onto your 2 feet and actually say something, tell someone, who are you? You need to question. If you don't have an answer to who you are, then start asking yourself that question. It's action, it's mindset, it's attitude, okay? So we need to be very careful when we hear people making such remarks. You need to start questioning, what sort of attitude is this person approaching this matter with? And is that an attitude you want to associate with? Okay, so I think that's very important. And maybe to just conclude, like I had said, it's very important when you talk about giving, again, as a growth strategy, the fact that it's a growth strategy is a ripple effect of what you have decided to give. So if we talk about normalizing, for example, peer mentorship, you need to question around you, who are the people around you? Yes. What are those people pouring into you? What are you pouring into them? The growth finds you on the way. I will keep on saying it. It finds you in action. I wish Coach Samuel Iwanda could tell us about the time from when he, thought about Transformational Professionals Club to date, the amount of information, the number of things he has learned. We would be able to realize that, he started with a desire to give, but the amount of knowledge he has gotten along the way, that is where the real growth is. So I just want to say, let us keep our eyes on the goal. The goal is winning in the giving. Are you giving? Then you are already winning. All those other things, the growth, the money, it's going to come and follow you, and you will be shocked where it came from. Just like Catherine gave from her testimony. People will keep on coming to you and saying, oh, this person did this person did that. Friends, colleagues, let us prioritize this giving. That's my message. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Hanifa. Well said. Over to you, Catherine. And then we'll
thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been such a privilege. Thank you so much, Hanifa. Thank you so much, Evelyn. I've learned so much from you, from the audience. Thank you so much, Charity. Now, for me to answer Charity's question, I always believe that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Everything else will be noise until you are ready to take that leap. And that's when you start paying attention. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. I started a book club at MTN with 6 ladies in 2023. And everyone was like, we want to reach Sydney Sheldon's. Why are we reading Thrive? Why are we reading Smart Money? Why are we reading those books? But when the 6 started giving testimonies of how their lives were changing, we became 40 and then 80. And now I'm even putting a gatekeeper on the group because we are 146. Because sometimes people are on the fence waiting to see the impact of that motivation. And so we don't give up. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. So thank you so much, ladies. It's been a privilege. It's an honor. And one of the ways we've decided to give back is through mentoring walks, because corporate women who are in the marketplace, they're so busy. And so I was a fellow for Vital Voices, and there was a lady called Geraldine Lowborn, And she was a busy executive, and yet her leadership style was so phenomenal. Everyone wanted a piece of her. And so she decided to mentor girls on her morning walks in Central Park. And it became an evolution. And so all over the world, tomorrow, in about 100 cities, we're going to walk. For us in Kampala, it's going to be at City High School. We decided to give back to the kids in school. And so there's so many ways you can give back. Find that thing that works for you. If you're busy, join a walk. If you join a book club. You are so versatile and you're so gifted that you have so many avenues of giving. Thank you so much, ladies.
Thank you so much, Catherine. I would like now to hear from Evelyn. Evelyn, over to you. Would like to hear from you. What are your parting shots? What would you like to tell us as women? And then we will proceed. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Charity. Thank you, ladies, that have presented this evening. And thank you, Coach Samuel, for the platform. I just have one short thing to tell members out there. So from today's topic, empowerment to empower. Empowerment should not stop with you. No matter little thing you get, it could be an advice to somebody to go back to school, to take that course. It could be an advice to that small young girl in the village. Maybe she has dropped out of school because of early pregnancy. It could be an advice for her to go back to school. So empowerment should not only stop at the corporate levels, it should go down there. That is my parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. That was well said. Thank you, ladies. And also remember something about you, ladies. You are beautiful. You are highly favored. You are soft. There's a reason why your bodies are soft. They're beautifully carved. You are one of a kind. And so love on yourselves. And as they say, that the moment you love yourself, love will attract you back. So don't give up on your femininity of who you truly are. And above all, when you begin to give out of who you are, you will receive back. And as the ladies have said today, our gift indeed opens doors for us, as the good book says. Use your gifting to open for you doors. Catherine used her gift, opened up doors for her to the State House in the US, the White House. Hanifa, the same. Evelyn has had platforms, through ASAP and so many others. So use your gifting. Through your gifting, you're going to impact many, many people in society. And so with this, allow me to invite Coach Samuel, probably in the next 5 minutes, to speak to us. And after that, we will close our session. Over to you, Coach Samuel.
All right. Thank you so much, Charity. And thank you so much to our great speakers. Thank you, Catherine. I've seen you on LinkedIn and glad to listen to you. I love the fact that we share the passion for mentorship, and we look forward to more collaborations to empower not only women, but also men. I also want to say thank you so much to Hanifa. I know this conversation is long coming, but I'm glad to have you here for this session. When I was starting the Transformation Professionals Club, one of my confidants that I talked to was Impata Hanifa. Why? Because I've seen her on this journey of growth. She used to write for us some letters at some point in time, but continuously she has really continued on this journey of growing and helping other people. So I really appreciate that you're here. I also want to, of course, appreciate Evelyn. Evelyn has been a great supporter of my work, but she's also one of our members as a Transformation Professionals Club. She recently participated in our public speaking mentorship, and I'm glad that she is speaking with confidence. And the same thing with Charity Nahawe. Charity Nahawe, thank you so much. When I was thinking about a moderator for this session, I couldn't think about anyone else other than you. Why? Because you bring in this energy, you're really passionate about women. And yes, that YouTube channel will really look out for it. for me, I was not even supposed to share anything, but I just want to leave you with a few words saying, let's go beyond these Women's Day international conversations. There are quite a lot in our organizations and so on. You find yourself that you in these rooms or in these webinars and you're asking yourself, I wish we always have this conversation. But unfortunately, we continuously have this conversation, let's say once in a while. So women, and men, let's take lead in having more of these conversations that empower women. I believe whatever we do, we'll be able to add a stone. Myself, I'm a father to girls. So every time I see initiatives that empower women, even when we're trying to organize this, for me, I believe that by the time my girls are somewhere, they are very young, by the time they grow up, at least they'll find a better world, which does not even require these webinars where already the women are already empowered. So that's very important. But also look for places to grow as an individual. There are lots of them. I think Edith shared and said, how can we mentor girls when everything is for paying? I'll tell you, for the Transformation Professionals Club, we have a number of, actually most of our webinars are for free, like most of our programs are for free. We usually just put a charge to be able to facilitate our operations, but there's a lot. You can go to YouTube, you can follow. There are lots of people and people are willing. And for the ladies here, start with the person next to you. It could be your children, it could be the people in your community. There's a saying that I usually share and say, the longer we stay silent, the longer someone else remains stuck. Now imagine Catherine had maybe not shared about what she shares, the kind of impact that she has made. It means those people wouldn't have gotten to where they have gotten. So whatever we have, Catherine just shared about visibility. Actually, when Catherine shared about visibility, I was like, yeah, because this is the same message I recently shared with the members of Transformation Professionals Club. We must be visible. I know it is not comfortable. It's not comfortable to record that video, but the longer you stay silent, that means that there's somebody out there who is missing out that message. There's somebody there who is going through the same journey as the way you went it through, but they're about to give up because there's no one who has shared their story of how they came the same story. So it's very important that we out there and we are helping each other. And then lastly, I also want to say, let this empowerment be through collaborations. You see, we cannot do things on our own. I know sometimes you're like, I need to start this organization, I need to do everything. Come together with different women, with different men, and let's work together, because I believe that when we collaborate, we come as strong and do a lot of things. So I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who has come here, who has listened, the Transformation Professionals Club members that have joined us, those that have joined us from YouTube. I'm really, really very grateful. And together we can continuously put out this conversation of empowering men. May God bless you. Bye.
Thank you so much, Coach. They say when the big drum has spoken, who am I to continue? Yeah, so allow me to stop here and just thank you, ladies. Thank you, gentlemen, who have been able to be a part of it. Sorry, we took a bit of your time, the 11 minutes, but I'm glad that we're able to finish on time. Catherine, Hanifa, and Evelyn, we commend you for the time that you spent with us. May God truly bless you for that, and bless each one of you who have been able to stay up to the end. Have a happy Women's Day, which is going to happen soon, very, very soon on 8th. Happy Women's Day, and enjoy and be who you're meant to be. Stand out and be counted and be different. Yeah. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening.
Happy Women's Day to you too.
Women's Day.
Happy Women's Day.
Happy
Bye-bye.
Women's Day.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Happy Women's Day too.